If you recently got a Brother CS7000X sewing machine and you have no idea where to start, this video is for you. I'm going to go over how to set up the machine, including what to do when you first plug it in, some of the basic functions, and then some of the features that you might want to be on the lookout for as a complete beginner sewer, so you can get started quickly on your sewing journey. To start off with, the Brother CS7000X does come with a lot of different accessories, not these needles though, but I did a video on the accessories for this sewing machine, and I will leave a card so you guys can check that video out if you would like to get more of an in-depth idea of what they include with the accessories. But that was one of the reasons I purchased this machine, because it had so many of the accessories that normally you would have to purchase separately. So to plug the machine in, there are three back here, well, two here. So this is the main power plug, and this is actually the plug to the foot pedal, which I'll go over in just a second. But what you're gonna do is you'll just plug it into an outlet. So I'll go ahead and do that here. Okay, and then you'll go over and you just press this button right here to turn it on. And you'll know it's on because I don't know if you heard that little ka-ching sound. That's how you know that your sewing machine is on, and you will see that there is a light that turns on as well. Before I get started, I'm just going to say that you absolutely do need to read the operation manual that comes with this machine. Read it before you start even opening up your sewing machine, or even maybe as you go along with this video, because it is really, really helpful, and it will give you an idea of all the different features as well as how to do the basic maintenance and things like that. It's just very helpful, but for me as a visual person, that's why I made this video, to kind of work alongside this operation manual, but make sure to always have this on hand. This is the foot pedal. This is what determines the speed that your sewing needle will go if you don't have any other settings to make it go slower or faster. But how this works is essentially you would have your ankle here, or the sole of your foot here, and then your toes up top, and you'll press down. I do have it unplugged right now. You don't want to do this when it's plugged in. And then, as you can see better this way, press it down. The harder, or the lower that it's pressed down, the faster the needle will go. And you can even go a little, just a gentle tap this way. And this is how most sewing machine, how most work. And so you would just plug that in. Just plug it in right there to put the, to attach it to the machine to allow the foot pedal to work. Now, the great thing about this machine, actually, and it's one of the reasons I love it so much, and I think it's the perfect option for beginners, is that you actually do not need to have that foot pedal for the machine to go. And this is a huge feature that I think is just so important, and I think that pretty much all sewing machines should have them, but that's just my opinion as a self-taught sewist in the last year or so. Okay. So for now, we're just going to keep the foot pedal, put it aside, and just, if you're a brand new sewer, you probably don't even want to deal with this. I sure as heck didn't want to, so we're going to put that aside for now. And then we're going to step back and think, okay, what are we going to do first? The first thing to do is going to be to thread your machine. Now, I actually have another video all about this, so I'm also going to link that video here so that you get an idea of how to do that, because I go into much more detail there. But essentially, you're going to thread the top thread. This is what's known as a spool thread, and this is the spool pin. You're going to put it here, and you're going to thread it all the way down the mechanism here. And then you're always going to make sure that the bobbin thread is also threaded. So that one you can just access here. Again, that video goes into much more depth, but that's the bobbin thread down there. And so you want to make sure that's the first thing that you do, is to thread your machine correctly. And absolutely, absolutely feel free to practice a lot, because I still need to. Once the needle is threaded, this is where you're going to see all the stitches. This can be a little bit overwhelming. So what I recommend for very, very beginners is to really focus on that first row, because that's where you're really going to be seeing a lot of the stitches that you're going to need as a beginner. So this is your basic straight stitch. These are actually all basic straight stitches, but it just depends on the needle position. Another feature that I love about this machine is that you can adjust the needle position, because otherwise you would have to use this, which is the hand crank. This is used to, again, change the position of the needle or to slow down as you're coming across kind of a more finicky part of your fabric. This can be really, really helpful so that you don't have to rely on kind of automatic processes that can sometimes rip through your fabric. So for example, this is just, as you saw when I turned the machine on, this is what it sets up to. This is the stitch length. That's how long the stitch is going to be on the piece of fabric. And then this is the stitch width, which is how wide it will be, the actual stitch will be. So when you're dealing with beginning sewing, I highly recommend that you really just deal with these first three right here. And these are the ones that I recommend, because when you get into the zigzag stitch, which is right here, this is more for stretchy fabrics or slippery fabrics, and it can kind of mess with the way that you're thinking your project will go. So I just recommend starting with these straight stitches, which again would be just even what you have right here. This is going to be a 2.5 length stitch, and then this is going to be there's not going to be any width to it there. So just stick with the automated ones for now, because it's much easier to deal with as you are beginning to sew. So I know you want to start sewing quickly, so I'm just going to quickly go over some of these main features so that we can get into some of the examples, and so you can see it in action. So this is a start stop button. This is going to be the button that you use if you do not have the foot pedal plugged in. This is a great feature for beginners because it means that you can press the sewing needle. You can have the needle move without having to press the foot pedal with your foot, which kind of requires some coordination there. So it means that it gives you it frees up your hands and you're able to focus more on the sewing task at hand. This is the back stitch or reinforcement stitch button. This is going to be a stitch that when you're stitching, it will just go, you'll move the needle forward, and then this button will need kind of move it backwards to reinforce the stitch to make it stronger. And then this is the needle take up button, or the needle position button. This is going to have the needle, when you press this button, basically it'll either put the needle in the fabric or out of the fabric. So this is what you would do if you come across like a snag or something like that. You would use that button to release the needle from the fabric, and it's what you always want to do when you're first starting sewing. And this is the speed control feature. I absolutely love this. It's probably my favorite feature, and it's the main reason I bought this machine actually as a beginner. But essentially it controls the speed, as the name suggests. So it means that even if you were to be using the foot pedal, it will not go faster than this maximum speed that you have it at. So for this, if you're a complete beginner, I recommend keeping it at this slowest speed, because no matter how hard you press on the foot pedal, it won't go any faster than this. And then as you get more advanced, you can move it on to the faster maximum speed setting. Okay, now that I've gone over the main features of the machine, I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of how it works when you press these functions. So just to kind of give you an idea, I have not threaded the machine right now. There's no thread in there, just for demonstration purposes. Get the camera a little bit better. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do now is, whenever you start sewing, the first thing you need to do is you need to get that needle into the needle position. So this is when you're going to go to the needle position button right here, and you're going to press it. And you'll see what happens when I do that. All right, so it sinks automatically into the fabric so that it's nice and taut. Now what you're going to do is, there's a little lever, hopefully you can see this, right back there, and you're going to press that down. And that is going to put the presser foot on the fabric. All right, so now that's all set. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing. And to do that, I'm just going to press the arrow button, the start stop button, so that you can see that it's going automatically without me having to use the foot pedal, and also I'm going to do it on this speed. you can see how slowly it goes at its max speed on that setting. So here we go. All right, so as you can see, it's very slow. Gives you a lot of control, which is awesome as a beginner. Obviously, normally you'd be seeing the stitches go through. But this is a great function. And then when you press that button, it just stops. So I hope you saw how easy it was to get started to sew with the Brother CS7000X sewing machine. I'm so glad that I bought this. It really was an amazing investment for my sewing journey. And it just has a lot of features that give me a lot more confidence, and I'm not as overwhelmed or just feeling like I can't do it and I have nowhere to start. So I hope that this video helped you if you're in that place as well, to give you some confidence as to know exactly how to move forward, how to start sewing, so you can get going on your hobby and not just sort of be intimidated by a sewing machine, because this actually is really not that intimidating, even though it can look that way when you first take it out of the box. Because I totally understand that. So I hope this video was helpful. If you would like to see more details on how to thread the machine, definitely make sure to check out my video on how to thread the Brother CS7000X sewing machine. This will help for any other Brother type model sewing machines, but also other sewing machines as well. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you thought, and I will leave you to the next time. If you recently got a Brother CS7000X sewing machine and you have no idea where to start, this video is for you.